Fans, are you ready? Welcome to the Peyton Manning statue ceremony. We are excited to have some special guests in attendance. Please give a warm welcome to former Mayor Greg Ballard and Governor Eric Holcomb. Wide receiver Bill Brooks and running back Marshall Falk. Tight end Ken Dilger. Offensive tackle Tarek Glenn. Wide receiver Brandon Stokely and linebacker David Thornton. Quarterback Jim Sorgi and offensive tackle Ryan Deem. Quarterback Curtis Painter and linebacker Gary Brackett. Tight end Dallas Clark and defensive end Dwight Freeney. Reggie Wayne. Outside linebacker Robert Mathis. Now welcome today's MC, Fox 59 and CBS 4 Sports Director, Chris Hagan.
Hello and welcome everyone. Let me gauge the crowd here. Let me hear from the football fans. All right, let me hear Colts fans now. How about Peyton Manning fans? Hey, you're in the right place. It's all about number 18 today, and it's a who's who of people up here. Except for me, I'm more of a who's that. And so let me just remind you, I'm Chris Hagan from Fox 59, and no lie, it was 18 years ago this week that I accepted the job to move here to Indianapolis. 18, and that's pretty appropriate because all weekend is about that special number and special guy. So it's been special covering them in his career, and we've really seen in my time here Indianapolis become a legitimate NFL city. And I think this building behind me and the Super Bowl we hosted are both testaments to that fact. So without further ado, let's kick things off with the current mayor of this NFL city, the Honorable Joe Hogsett.
Good afternoon, Indianapolis. We gather to honor and cement the legacy of a quarterback whose leadership, sportsmanship, and integrity on and off the field inspired thousands, and it's a legacy that will forever shape our great city. Because Peyton Manning turned Indianapolis into a city of champions. Now, we've all seen the legendary performances of Peyton, both on and off the field, as a football player and as a commercial star. So let me offer you this. Grants to Indianapolis from the Payback Foundation, $13 million. The Peyton Manning Children's Hospital, $50 million. The economic impact of a Super Bowl brought to our city by the Manning effect, $100 million. But 14 seasons with the sheriff, priceless. Today, it is my honor as mayor of Indianapolis to declare this Peyton Manning weekend in our great city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think they love you, Peyton. All right, next up, a man who served as governor of Indiana for 7 years while Peyton was here, during which time the two developed a friendship that lasts to this day, and a man who was the architect of not one, not two, but 3 Super Bowl franchises. He also faced a pretty big either-or decision back in 1998 that led us to this very day. So please join me in welcoming Pro Football Hall of Famer, Ring of Honor member, former vice chairman of the Colts, Bill Polian, and former governor of the state of Indiana, Mr. Mitch Daniels.
Afternoon, everybody. Best way to convey how honored I am that Peyton asked me to be part of this is to tell you that I'm missing a Purdue football game to be here. But starting today, we'll be beating Minnesota once a year, and this is only happening once, so here I am. I was lucky to be an employee of the people of Indiana for the last 8 years that Peyton played here, including all 3 Super Bowls, the 2 he led the team to, and the one this stadium brought to town. In the first of those years, 2005, we took our own new team into state government with a huge agenda of changes we thought the state needed. A new stadium convention center for Indy was not on the list. That was the city's issue, and I looked forward to supporting and signing it. But the project ran into some trouble, and we eventually added it to our to-do list and figured out a way to make it happen. We took a little gold plating off. We left the retractable roof, Jimmy, that you guys never seem to retract. But it was still an expensive undertaking. But whenever one of our folks worried about the cost, I told them, don't sweat it. If we build it, Peyton will fill it. We did, and he did. We all have indelible memories of what he and the Colts did on that field, but I'll leave the football analysis to the experts who follow. For my part, I'll just point out that in today's world, sports, entertainment, and big business, and it's getting hard to tell them apart, are full of people of incredible talent who you wouldn't want your kids to grow up like. For every day of his time in Indiana, Peyton Manning was a gentleman, what we used to call a man of character, as great a citizen as he was a quarterback. There wasn't one moment on the field or off that he made us anything but proud. Lastly, I suggest that we're honoring more than one Manning today. Archie and Olivia made the most important contribution anyone can in this country today, and they raised their children to lead productive and virtuous lives. They are the first family of American football. They are the first family of American football, but really one of the finest families of any kind, anywhere. Now, you know, Peyton, statues of Southerners have been having a tough season this year. But I think we can predict no one is ever going to want this one taken down. Thanks for everything and congratulations.
Good afternoon. Jeff Saturday and Tony and I, thank you. Jeff Saturday and Tony and I were discussing on the phone during the week what we should wear to this event. And Peyton told us to wear jackets and ties, and so we couldn't quite decide still what we wanted to wear. And we decided that we really wanted to wear the velour sweatsuit that he wore in the ESPY deal. but we couldn't find any. Apparently there's only one, so sorry about that. This is an oft-told story, but it bears repeating today. With about 2 weeks to go before the draft in 1998, Peyton came in to finish up odds and ends of his physical exam. And after he'd seen the doctors, he came back to my office and we chatted a bit, and he told me how anxious he was to know what our choice was. And I explained to him that I had made up my mind and I wanted to sit down and talk it over with Jim Irsay, and we'd have something final for him before he went to New York. I don't think he was too crazy about that, but he went along with it. He got up to leave, and as he stood in the doorway, he turned around, he said, "I'd just like to leave you with one thought." And I said, "Yes, what is that?" He said, "If you draft me, I promise that we'll win a championship." "And if you don't, I promise I'll come back and kick your butt." So he kept his promise, and I'm glad we made that choice. The Romans built statues to their heroes so that in a time when there was no mass communication, future generations would understand what the leaders of yesteryear did to make their society great. Well, we have mass communication these days, but statues are still important. But I think that no statue, no stadium, no Lombardi trophy is needed to outline or remind people of what Peyton Manning did for this city and this franchise. The Payback Foundation, this building, the gold jacket that he will put on in a couple of years, this statue will be long gone, but the good that Peyton Manning Children's Hospital does and all of the things that he's done to make this a better city and state will live long, long after we're all gone. I know many of you, probably most of you, like us, shed a tear when Peyton said goodbye. Well, today we get a chance to welcome him back home to Indiana. And tell him what a pleasure it was to be his teammate and friend. Congratulations, Peyton.
It's great to see Mr. Polian out here, as well as so many players that he selected and drafted and brought into this horseshoe franchise, the winningest decade of all time in the NFL, the 2000s, including Reggie Wayne, who is now a broadcaster. And before we came out for the big day, Reggie offered me this advice. He said simply, "Don't mess up." So Reg, thanks for that. Hey, next up we have a man who's made his life's work the National Football League, literally 35 plus years from intern to commissioner, and also a man who was the head coach of the Colts for 7 glorious years, including a Super Bowl 41 championship in the 2006 season. Please join me in welcoming NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and former Colts head coach, Ring of Honor member, and Pro Football Hall of Famer, Tony Dungy.
Well, thank you. It's awesome to see everyone out here. I just want to take you back. I'm going to take you back 15 years to 2002. My first meeting with our team, Jim just hired me as the head coach. We called everyone together, and I remember like it was yesterday. I told our team, We want to win a Super Bowl. We want to bring it to Indianapolis. But we have to win it the right way. If all we do is win Super Bowls, it won't be remembered very long. But if we win Super Bowls with the right kind of young men, men that will be role models for our city and our state, men that'll be high character, that our city and state can be proud of, that's what's going to be important. And we did that. With your help, we did it. But we did it with the right kind of men, and no one exemplifies that more than Peyton Manning. I was blessed to coach in the National Football League for 28 years. I ran across a lot of players who were great people. You don't hear about all the great things they do. We tend to focus on the negatives, but I ran across a lot of great young men in those 28 years. I ran across a few men who were exceptionally talented and gifted and maybe the best of all time at what they do, but it's rare you run across one person with both those qualities. Great in the community, great person, and extremely gifted and talented, and that's Peyton Manning. I feel Lord gave me a lot of blessings in my life, but one of the great blessings was coaching Peyton Manning. I'm very honored to have done that, proud of it, and proud to call him a friend. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Indianapolis. I could give you 18 reasons why we're all here today to celebrate the great Peyton Manning, but he only gave us 2 minutes, and you know how he loves to manage 2 minutes. Back in 1998, when Peyton was the first draft pick, all of our rookies were required to go to what's called the Rookie Symposium. They spend a couple of days talking about life skills and what it's like to be a professional. It's a grueling couple of days with no workouts. But what stood out about Peyton is he sat in the front row for every session, was super attentive, and took notes. And I promise you, not too many people take notes in the Rookie Symposium. But you fast forward to 2011, and we had just completed a new collective bargaining agreement, and I worked very closely with Jeff Saturday for 6 months trying to figure out how we could make the game safer for our players. And the first call I got was from Peyton Manning. Why? He didn't like the new work rules that cut back on workouts so that he couldn't work out with his teammates quite as much. He couldn't throw as many balls to them. But for Peyton, that was an opportunity to learn, to teach, to get better, and to outwork the competition. And that is Peyton Manning. 2 behind-the-scenes moments that show why he has been so successful in so many aspects of life. He is a total professional, determined to be the best he can be, and a leader who loves the game. In his 18 seasons, you know what Peyton delivered. No one has ever represented the game or the league with more class than Peyton Manning. And for that, I'd like to thank you, Peyton, for all the wonderful things you've done on behalf of everyone in the NFL. But Peyton's extraordinary achievements go well beyond the football field, as we all know. They include his commitment to his community, to his family, and to his NFL record number of commercials. It turns out that Peyton even has a Hall of Fame sense of humor and a Hall of Fame acting career. He can do it all, and then some. But he even turned Indiana into a state now known for football and the Indianapolis Colts. This statue will be a clear symbol of that and how much this great community loves number 18.
I join all of you and football fans everywhere today in saluting Peyton for countless memorable moments and being such a tremendous ambassador for this community, our league, and the game. Thank you, Peyton.
Next up, a player the ladies will remember for having the bluest eyes you ever saw. He's also in the Ring of Honor, and he had the closest relationship with Peyton, I guess, in a literal sense. And also a gentleman who, to make this a little bit personal, when I was a freshman at Mississippi State, no offense to Archie and Olivia, they asked me my first day of speech class to give a 1-minute speech about why I was majoring in mass communication. And I said, I want to be just like this guy. I think years later we realized even then and now there will never be anyone like this guy. Please welcome former Colt center Jeff Saturday and the pride of Broad Ripple High School and Ball State University, David Letterman.
What's up, Colts Nation? I know this is Peyton's day, but I'm just going to let you know all the best dresses got 63s out there. So give them a hand. You know, as I was thinking about this event and the statue, and I heard about it first and foremost, I got really hoping that the artist Ryan was going to call me because I thought at least my butt could be in the statue. This really is a fantastic event, something that's so well deserved by 18. Congratulations, my friend. Just unbelievable. You know, you hear all the stories about Peyton's work ethic and what drives him and all the things that you hear, film study and all of those things, and it's all true. But Peyton, more than anything, was a catalyst for a group of people and a team that took us to greatness. And you think about the Hall of Famers, you saw Tony, you saw Bill, you know Marvin, future Hall of Famers on this football team, Reggie and Edrin and different men who are going to have opportunities. But Peyton was the driving force that really made us great. And I'll give you one example. Early on in my career, Peyton used to ask about protections all the time. And we would go through it from Monday through Saturday of, hey, what are we going to do if we get a blitz? How are we going to pick this up? And Howard Mudd, our old offensive line coach, and Tom Moore were in the room with us. And Peyton kept wanting to slide protection to pick the blitz up. And Howard Mudd's losing his mind. He's like, Peyton, stop chasing ghosts. Stop chasing ghosts. And Peyton said, Howard, I'm not going to stop chasing ghosts. And he loses his mind with some expletives in there. He said, why won't you just let it go? He said, because when my dad, Archie, was a quarterback, his offensive line coach told him, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that blitz. They can't bring it. And they brought it, and they almost crippled him on the field. So I'm going to chase those ghosts. Yeah. So you could give a hand to Archie for setting that work ethic in 18 from the jump. And for all the great times on the field, and we had a ton. We won a bunch of games. We love winning the Super Bowl, all of those things. I will tell you, that's not the thing that I miss most about playing with Peyton. What I miss most is DJ 18 coming home on that plane flight after we get a win. And he's got his iPhone, and I think Ashley had programmed it because he's got no musical taste. So Ashley had us a run, and he's got the phone on the plane, and he's holding the button all the way down for that 2-3 hour plane flight wherever we're coming from. Or the bus trips that we take, and we're all sitting together after a game and after a win and talking about what went well, what didn't go well, what can we do to improve. All of those things made the game so much more fun. Training camp, which you hear now every player misses and doesn't want to go to and all those things. The biggest prankster we had was 18. There's a story, and I can't confirm nor deny, that he may have put some golf carts on a floating dock in the middle of a lake down at Rose Holman, and it may have been the owner's golf cart. I don't know for sure, but I'm just saying there was something floating out there. But his leadership style and the way he did it, you hear about the driving. He always drove us. You always want to do your best. What can I do to help you? When every other quarterback in the league is going out West Coast for their spring ball and they're going to go train and do that, he was here in Indiana working with us. And I'll say this, I played 14 years in the league. There's not a person I ever played with who worked harder and gave more to his football team than Peyton Manning. I've been away from the game now. I'm getting a little older. I'm raising kids. I got kids in high school. And as I look back on his leadership and what he asked of his guys, what made it possible was that he led by example. The thing you always knew about Peyton is whatever he's asking you, because listen, you asked a lot. A lot. And he can make you mad now. There's a whole group of men back here who'll tell you he'll wear you out sometimes. But he was willing to lay it out and do it himself. And if there's anything you can say about somebody, a man who can stand, and it talks about character, is he's willing to lead by example, and that's why he's got a statue today. God bless you guys. I appreciate it. Congratulations, 18. I love you, brother. I'm glad I went before you, too.
You did a wonderful job.
I'm glad.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dave Letterman. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. 4/12/47, I was born in Indianapolis. Lived here most of my life. Been on television for 30 years. Where the hell's my statue? Seriously. You make one, you can make two. I guess I'm in heaven. The opportunity to spend some time looking at Jeff's butt, that really made the trip worthwhile. I've seen better. I played some football years ago when I was a kid. Johnny Unitas told me to quit. It's nice to see the commissioner here. $48 million a year, and he couldn't give his job away. And by the way, in my career on stage, I'm accustomed to people taking a knee. So go ahead if you feel like you have to. What doesn't bother me? They're usually praying for me to wrap it up. Take a look around you at this city, ladies and gentlemen. When I lived here, it was like a minimum security prison with a racetrack. And people said to me, Dave, we're planning a trip to Indianapolis. What should we do? And I said, well, here's what I would do if I was planning a trip to Indianapolis. This is years and years ago. I said, I go to Indianapolis, rent a car, and drive to Chicago. But the biggest sports star when I was a kid, Dick the Bruiser, ladies and gentlemen. Things are all different now. Things are different, and my God, I'm here for two reasons. One, I'm from Indiana, and two, whether he knows it, whether he wants it, I'm friends with Peyton Manning. You can't not be friends with this guy. We have asked him over the years to do many, many different things, and he has never said no. And oh my God, the Mount Olympus of football, Archie, the Saints, for God's sakes, Peyton with the Indianapolis Colts, for God's sakes, Peyton with the Denver Colts, for God's sakes. By the way, if you like football trivia, so far this year, Eli and Peyton have won the same number of games.
Oh, boo.
Oh, stop. I'm sorry, I was told this was a roast. Yeah, this is where I spent my life, Indianapolis, and by God, the change in this town is palpable. Let me just say, and I don't want to ruin anything, I've seen the statue, and they have, I'm not sure who the sculptor was, or if it was cast in bronze, but it replicates Peyton's motion in the pocket. It's unbelievable. My heart is always in Indiana. This man didn't do it alone, but by God, he was at the center of it. Look around us. He changed the skyline. This used to be a small town. It was a wonderful small town. This man has changed the skyline of this city. You see that statue, you'll say to yourself, yeah, that's just the way Peyton was in the pocket. Brought a Super Bowl championship to this city. Brought the Super Bowl to this city. And in February of 2018, Indianapolis will be hosting the Winter Olympics. Not only did he change the skyline of this city, he changed the personality and the culture of this city. More importantly, as somebody who was born and raised here, still has family here, still loves Indiana, still loves Indianapolis, he left an imprint, a lasting imprint, indelible imprint, an influence that will live forever on the heart of my hometown. God bless number 18. God bless Indianapolis. God bless everybody.
All right, Colt fans, this is the time where we get to see Sasquatch unveiled. It's looking quite big, and no matter how big it looked, it still couldn't duplicate how much you mean to us, Peyton, and to this city. Words are hard to describe. I think as you look and you have the first pick in the draft, you hope to draft someone that's going to have greatness, that might make it to some Pro Bowls, that have a chance to get you into the playoffs, to even eventually win a world championship, and possibly even do more and end up walking into Canton, Ohio, and maybe even have their jersey that was on their back never worn again. But to have a statue, to have this displayed in front of this incredible facility that man built behind me, I could not have done. I was the one, he was whispering in my ear, this is the guy who put the sweat, blood, and tears into it. And there's not a day goes by that I'm not thankful for our friendship and what he's meant to this city and to this state. He is an iconic football player that transcends football, and what he's meant to Indiana is something really that words, it's very difficult to come up with the correct words to describe it. And I can only say I know how much love is out there, and I know how much anticipation is waiting right now to see this statue unveiled, and we've been waiting too long. Let's see what Sasquatch right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. People and places come into our lives for a purpose. Then it becomes our job to discover why and how to make the most of them. As a kid, I used to read the Dr. Seuss book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. Ashley and I read the same book now to our children. I never would have imagined how perfect those words would be on draft day, 1998. Today is your day, it said. You're off to great places. You are off and away. Well, you heard what they say. You never know the true value of a moment until it becomes a memory. For so many reasons, if I was to draw a map of my life, Indianapolis would have as prominent a place there as it does in my heart. Why? Why? Because the Colts chose me as their first overall pick. And it's certainly nice to be wanted because it was my first NFL team. And just like your first car, your first is always ingrained in your memory. Because I had some of the most remarkable and selfless teammates, many that are here today, and I can't thank you guys enough for being here, coaches and support staff that ever existed in the NFL. We weren't just a collection of players. We could have been the very definition of the word team. Because together we led this community on a journey that transformed Indianapolis from a basketball and racing town into a football haven. In Indy, out of necessity, from the very first day to my last, I had to test my personal and physical limits. I had to discover a way to expand and extend those limits beyond what everyone, including me, believed were finite boundaries. And of course, because I won my first Super Bowl while wearing the horseshoe on my helmet. And last but not least, because of the RCA Dome or in Lucas Oil Stadium on game days and how your cheers reverberated throughout the stadium. I'm amazed at the current fans' letter writing campaign and the hashtag, Thank You Peyton. I am not on social media, but if I was, I would use the hashtag, Thank You Indianapolis. It was both an honor and privilege to be one of you. There's not enough time or words to express the enormous gratitude that I feel today. But let me start by thanking Ryan Freeney for sculpting a lasting reminder of my tenure as a Colt. Luckily for me, and even more so for our children, Ryan promised that my bronze forehead would be a little smaller and my neck a little shorter than they actually are. Thank you to Ashley, Marshall, Mosley, my mom and dad, Cooper, Eli, our entire family. I love you all. I could never have imagined or followed through on my dream of playing in the NFL without your unwavering support. Thank you to all my friends for always having my back and for the kind words you have shared privately and publicly. Jeff Saturday, as a friend and as a teammate, you gave me confidence. I love you, pal. The public doesn't always see this, but great teammates choose to put team over self. That was you, Jeff. David Letterman. David Letterman, I always admired your humor. That's why your show was the only one I ever went on. And to be included in your last show was an awesome honor. I appreciated that night how you thanked the people behind the scenes, often unheralded people who, like those behind the scenes in the NFL, are nonetheless crucial to our success. If I had a top 10 list, Dave, you would be on it. To former governor and good friend Mitch Daniels, you made me and my family feel like real Hoosiers. Purdue certainly has a gem in you. Commissioner Goodell, your presence here alone speaks volumes. It is an honor to have you here to mark this occasion. What can I say about Bill Polian? As he said before the draft, I told him, if you take me, I promise you we'll win a championship. If you don't, I'm gonna come back and kick your butt, I promise you. I don't know if it was fear or faith that led you to draft me, Bill, but I sure am glad you did. Thanks for taking a chance on me. Thanks for taking a chance on me. I will always be indebted to you for your support. I was blessed to have Tony Dungy as a coach. Thank you for so much, Coach Dungy. You had a huge impact on me both on and off the field, and your influence made us all better football players and better men. And finally, a huge thank you to Jim Irsay and the Irsay family. Your generosity putting this tribute together is nothing short of mind-boggling. I am deeply, deeply humbled by the remarkable honor that the Colts family has bestowed upon me with this statue, retiring my number, and inducting me into the legendary Colts Ring of Honor. There is simply no way to adequately express what this all means to me. Again, thank you, Indianapolis. Thank you, Indiana. I am proud to have been a citizen of this town. And as I told the world a year and a half ago, I will always be a Colt. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Yeah, you can be the greatest, you can be the best. You can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can beat the world, you can beat the war. You can talk the guy, go banging on his door.
Keep it going for Peyton Manning. Number 18 in your program, number 1 in your heart. And as Peyton said, the celebration continues tomorrow